Tackle today, the Justice Brothers from Tackle Trading, bringing you all the charts, the news, the analysis, so you can be informed in your trading decisions. And if you want to become a great trader, attend the Precision Trading webinar. It's a fantastic educational experience. Reading charts has made you money in recent weeks, like it has for years and years and years. If you want to become a great trader, you need a little bit of education. We got a great free webinar for you to attend, Matt. Very excited for you to teach it. And you're looking very handsome in that promo, may I say? May I say? What's also
My
looking
beard's a little bit longer right now than that one there, but no doubt we're going to have a lot of fun on December 2nd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Precision Trading webinar, The Art of Trading Options, brought to you by Tackle Trading. And I'm going to teach our new traders and people interested in learning how to trade options and from a technical perspective, exactly that. How to pinpoint your entry, your stop loss, your targeting like a market assassin, utilizing the leverage component of options. It's going to be an amazing webinar. I hope to see everybody there. And it also just so happened kickstarts our holiday sales season at Tackle Trading, where you can get all of your educational needs from the best educational platform in America today. Dial in your 2025 educational needs with us in the Precision Trading webinar next Monday, December 2nd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You're looking good in that thing, and the charts are looking good as well. This has been the story for weeks. Right now, sometimes there's some like crazy moves and small caps, where that are very, very powerful. But charts as a whole, Matt, S&P on down, there just have been a constructive feel ever since the election. There is a rhythm to the madness. To an uneducated eye, that continues today. Some good looks out there.
Yeah, very clean and very consistent technical side of the equation right now. You go out there in the news, you go out there reading geopolitical headlines, you look at economic headlines, you listen to the central bank, and everything becomes a little bit confusing and a little bit choppy with a little bit of indirection. And then you look at the technical side of the equation, and you're like, bullish retracement got confirmed, went up to resistance, exactly what we've talked about in the last 2 weeks of the newsletter. Well, go back 3 weeks from the pullback to the retracement to the brace for the breakout in the podcast this weekend. We're dialing in that $600 breakout, and a little bit of slowing momentum is not a negative thing when you're going into a really important breakout from a technical perspective. The market's not overextended here by no means, but when you go up 4 days into a major level of resistance, you're going to get a little bit of hesitation, most likely, especially as you're going into a holiday season and you're expecting to see i.e. Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving all out there. And you're expecting to see a little bit of less participation in that environment as well. You expect volume to be a little bit low this week. And then from the technical side, I think we're just going to be dancing this $600 breakout situation. Do we get a little bit of pullback coming down into the 9 EMA? Do we get a clean high base? That's always the question when you go into a breakout following a retracement is, do you get a flag coming into that breakout? Do you get a high base? Right now, a little bit of a slowing momentum candle at the top end of the price action suggests a little bit of consolidation, which would go to the high base.
Yeah, and listen, and if this breakout is going to be really, really strong, it probably needs tech to take carry a little bit of the water, just because of the weighting. We talked about what comes next on the breakout. And so that's something I'm checking in on a daily basis, checking in on NVIDIA to see if it holds that 50-day moving average along the way. But technical breakout level here is really, really clean. I mean, we'll see it when it happens, won't we?
Yeah, the technical breakout is really clean, and you have an increase in support constantly going into that. You had an increase in support here from that level going into the breakout, couldn't break it. You increase support your latest time going into the breakout. Do you have the ability to break out? Whatever the case might be, it is the breakout that is the most important here when you're looking at the tech space. And we fully expect tech to take a turn here. We just haven't seen it because you're dealing with a major level of resistance and you just haven't had the ability to break out. But in that major level of resistance, you have support that is constantly increasing, showing you that buyers still have control when dips do occur here. And so you're outside of really 2 days 2 days here. You had NVIDIA day, and then this one here where you violated that support level in the volatility pocket right before the election. Outside of those 2 days in the market, two volatility pockets, there really hasn't been a flaw in this trend from all the way to the low point of the 200-day moving average. That is something we're going to have to deal with in the market with volatility pockets. But outside of those situations, you really haven't seen additional volatility, continuation of the selling side of the equation in tech. And so you still look at that breakout as alive and well. And when you look at tech on the weekly chart, you're certainly seeing it as a continuation pattern, ascending triangle, cup and handle going into that very important breakout scenario. And it's the one breakout in the market that I think people need to be paying attention to. Obviously,
Yeah,
we're talking
absolutely.
about the breakout in an already trending trend in the S&P. We don't have a trend here. And so you're talking about the beginning point of a trend on that breakout. And so I do think it's going to, it might take a little bit to break out of that level. But at the end of the day, when it does break out, because things do break out over time, when it does break out, you need to be paying attention to that because it's a good breakout
You
level.
need to, because markets are fast right now. Markets are fast right now. So it's something I check into every day. Look at the development, lean towards cyclical plays, other plays right now. But when that breaks, going to add a little bit
Well,
of tech exposure, right?
and
Because
it's only 1 day outperformance here, and it's a doji type day, so we're not seeing like anything from a momentum perspective yet. We're just seeing relative outperformance because, quite frankly, I had a lot of earnings that were a little bit, profit taking environments in retail and cyclical here today, and so there is some context for the outperformance today. But again, we're talking about dojis today in the market.
Yeah, listen, on the economic news front, it might as well be a constant doji. Markets just don't care about the economic news right now unless it is just earth shattering. You had consumer confidence come in line with expectations today. You had some housing data that missed, but this market is what is the next administration going to do? One interesting thing will be the core PCE price index tomorrow, 30 minutes after the market opens. Get some inflationary data. But boy, I'm boring myself talking about economic data these days. And I usually love this stuff, Matt.
Well, you're absolutely right, though, and the market's right to discount the economic side just a little bit because you're dealing with the lame duck president at this point, who's out of office in 8 weeks from now, and you're going to have a new administration with new economic policies, with the deregulation, most likely a little bit of pro growth with some concern on the tariff side of the equation, and so that's where the market's attention is going to be. It's on what are the policy proposals under the new administration, especially now that they have a nomination for a new Treasury secretary. And so, yeah, I think that's rightly so where the market's head is at.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What individual stock stories do you have for us today?
We do have a couple individual stock stories, no doubt about that here today. Like I said, it was a little bit of an earnings day here today. You had Agilent Technologies report. You had Best Buy, Zoom, Burlington, Dix, Smucker report, ANF, Abercrombie, and then you had some individual news on Eli Lilly here today as well. And let's start with that Eli Lilly news. As you did have some news coming out of the Biden administration today that they are looking at the two weight loss drugs coming out of Novo Nordisk as well as Eli Lilly, and having Medicaid and Medicare coverage also cover those weight loss drugs. Those weight loss drugs are extremely expensive right now. I think upwards of $1,000 a month. And right now they are not covered from a Medicare and Medicaid perspective. The Biden administration is looking at doing that. Eli Lilly, Nova gets a little bit of a bid here today, no doubt about that. Eli Lilly, still a little bit of a bearish situation, but an improving condition. And then when you're looking at Nova here, NVO, same type of thing, bearish condition, improving, coming into that 20-period moving average. Does this news have the ability to create bottoming formations in in these two companies, which would certainly help the healthcare side of the equation. We'll have to wait and see on that. Let's talk a little bit about the retail side of the equation here today, as Best Buy comes out with earnings, and they came out with a slight miss on earnings. They also saw revenue down 3% year over year. They also lowered revenue guidance here today as well. And so you're talking about miss, and a miss here on Best Buy, and a pretty nasty gap down here today, as it was trying to come off that 200-day moving average gap down right into that 200-day moving average. Certainly would need to see some development there on Dick's, but a very negative earnings response on a negative earnings day for Dick's. For Best Buy out there. Dick's reported earnings here today as well. Abercrombie and Fitch came out here today, and they also reported EPS. They had a pretty decent beat, 250 against 232. Revenue was up 15% year over year. They actually increased revenue guidance by about 2% here. And so ANF, a little bit of a selling behavior after the actual report itself, but not a bad report. And obviously ANF is not bucking that 200-day moving average, just trying to hold firm there. We'll see what development can occur on ANF, but that's what we got for stocks in the news here today.
Gold trying to hold on, big nasty candle yesterday in gold. One of the things about gold, if you know gold, you've seen many red candles. What's the next candle is always the important story, because these markets, when they want to sell, they sell. Not seeing any follow through, Matt. Not seeing any follow through, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, not seeing a little bit of follow through, but obviously a lot of volatility over the last couple of days in gold and the currency market, and you definitely want to see that simmer down. When you don't have a good read on something technically, you got to let it develop. And that's what the candle here yesterday does. You have an improving condition, gets blasted. You're going through a deeper retracement, gets blasted on some news. That news was positive, obviously, with the ceasefire agreement coming out of Lebanon and Israel. But once again, you see that volatility to the downside, but you don't see the continuation of that. And when you are looking at the dollar here, we're still dancing that 107 level. I know it officially broke last week on that volatility moment, but you're still kind of dancing that 107 level. And so until we see really what this currency wants to do at this level, I think it's going to be very difficult to get a good read on the commodity, on the precious metal side of the equation.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of other commodities like silver holding support, copper holding support, crude oil bouncing back a little bit. These support builds on silver and copper, if they continue, are going to be very interesting. But obviously, we need confirmation, and crude oil just in a consolidation pattern for the ages.
I'll take what's going on in silver right now. I would rather
Absolutely.
see what's going on in silver right now than the recovery we saw in gold. And I felt like we talked about this in the podcast over the weekend about gold running with the dollar, and it wasn't going to continue to run like that. And the most likely read on what the truth of the commodity space, the precious metal side, was most likely the silver analysis other than the gold analysis. And I do like the development. Give us some consolidation. See, that's the thing about these downtrends that you really want to see. You don't want to see that V shape like you saw on gold, because oftentimes you're going to run into something like we saw yesterday. Whereas when you get the proper development that you get at the low point, you start working those moving averages underneath the breakout channels. And then when it does officially break out, and I would say that level would be 32 on silver on the future side of the equation, you have a little bit cleaner air, open air environment to where volatility does occur. It usually catches on some degree of moving average that is helping you and not hurting you in that moment. That's a detailed conversation, obviously, but silver's development is not too shabby here. I do like it, but obviously you got to work that out through the entire reversal formation. Now, what is interesting in terms of a pure technical pattern is what's happening on Bitcoin here today. You had that pullback yesterday coming into the momentum moving average of the 9 EMA, and now the question is, okay, is this a flag, i.e. with confirmation off the 9, or are we going to see something a little bit deeper into that pocket of the 9 and the 20 SMA? This is a bullish retracement developing. And whenever you deal with the bullish retracement, you're either going to be tracking that flag, which is the current pattern right this very second, slowing momentum off that 9 EMA, or two, something a little bit deeper down to the 20 SMA. But you do kind of developing retracement occurring on Bitcoin. Ethereum just kind of hovering up there around that breakout channel, around that 3,400 level.
Yeah, listen, we're going to have continued conversations, break down all kinds of charts, trade ideas, Traders Lounge, which happens just a little bit later. Precision Trading webinar. Be sure to sign up for it. It is going to be a fantastic event. Do it right now, right now.